11C is solubility factors. What this means is what makes something soluble in something else. So we have a solute, which is being dissolved in a solvent. So the solute is usually, when you think about things that you are usually dissolving, would be something like salt. And the solvent would be something like the water. Okay, so what makes you able to dissolve more salt in that water? Okay, there's a few things that you can do. The first thing is temperature. If it is a solid in a liquid, so that's salt and water, for example, you increase the temperature, you increase the solubility. I can fit a lot more sugar in water at higher temperatures than I can at colder temperatures. So if I heat up the water, more of it will dissolve, okay? However, if I'm talking about a gas in a liquid, if I increase temperature, I decrease solubility. Okay, because that's like a soda, right? So soda is carbon dioxide dissolved in water. That's a gas dissolved in a liquid. And if I boiled a soda, would you think it's very fizzy? It's probably not. All of those fizzies are going to come bubbling out of solution. A soda is most fizzy, has the most carbon dioxide dissolved when it's cold. Okay, the other thing that would affect solubility is pressure. But pressure only affects gases. A high pressure equals a high solubility. That's why when you open a soda, it goes psht, because what it does is it allows it's packed under pressure to keep that carbon dioxide dissolved in the water. So as you increase the pressure, more of that gas can dissolve in the liquid. The last thing is polarity. And what we say for this is this phrase, like dissolves like. What that means is that polar things and ionic things dissolve, that's spelled wrong, I'm sorry, in polar solvents. So what like dissolves like means is that polar dissolves in polar. And ionic, which is like an extreme version of polarity, dissolves in polar as well. And therefore non-polar dissolves in non-polar. So a question might ask you, in terms of molecular polarity, why does oil not dissolve in water, but salt does? Okay, well, salt dissolves in water because they have similar, I guess salt would be a tough one because it's not polar, it's ionic. But they might ask you about ethanol, which is polar. And so polar will dissolve in polar. Ethanol is going to dissolve in water as opposed to ethanol dissolving in oil, because ethanol's polar and water's polar. So if you are asked a question about why does ethanol dissolve in water and not in oil, and you're not sure if water is polar or not, spoiler alert, it is. H2O is polar. That means it's asymmetrical polar. You can just say that they have similar polarity. Okay, don't say like dissolves like, say their polarities are the same or they're similar. And those are the factors that affect the solubility of a solute and a solvent.